Feeling like you're drowning in to-do lists? Yeah, we're going to fix that. Today, we're diving into the mind of writer Carol. You know, the guy who created the bullet journal. We're going to learn how to actually master our week, not just survive it.
Does this look familiar? Like, really familiar? If so, you're definitely not alone. It's that sinking feeling, right? Being buried under this mountain of tasks where every new thing you add just piles on more stress instead of giving you any real direction. It's a huge struggle in our crazy, always-on world.
Well, you're in good company. Writer Carol, the genius behind the bullet journal, he started in the exact same spot. This guy wasn't some productivity guru from birth. Nope. He actually spent years struggling with attention deficit challenges, just trying to find a way to cut through the noise and focus on what actually mattered. His whole system, it was born from his own personal need to, as he puts it, track the past, order the present, and design the future. Pretty powerful stuff.
And this quote just nails the core of the problem. Carol called it decision fatigue. You know that feeling? The mental exhaustion from just trying to figure out what to do next? The solution isn't to decide faster. It's to take a step back. He says the first step is to get some distance from all those decisions. So, the big question is, how do we actually do that? Okay, and that brings us to our very first principle, clearing out the mental clutter. Think about it. Before you can even start to organize your tasks, you've got to get them out of the one place where they're causing total chaos, and that's inside your own head. The secret weapon here is what Carol calls a mental inventory. And the best part? It's super simple. This isn't some complicated system. The whole goal is just to dump everything out of your brain. Every single task, every little worry, every idea. Get it out of your head and onto a list. It's like cleaning out a messy closet. Just the act of getting it all out in the open is incredibly powerful. It frees up so much mental space because your brain can finally stop trying to juggle everything at once.
And it really just comes down to 3 steps. First, you externalize. That means a total, no-filter brain dump. Get it all down. Second, you evaluate. You're going to look at each and everything on that list and ask yourself 2 really important questions. Is this vital? And does this actually matter to me or someone I love? And then comes the 3rd step, which is honestly the best part. You eliminate. You get to consciously decide what you're not going to do. You just cross off all that stuff that's just noise, the things that aren't really helping you get where you want to go. So satisfying.
And what are you left with after this big purge? This. It's not an empty list, not at all. It's the right list. Suddenly you've got this focused, actionable plan that shows you exactly what your priorities are. And that feeling of clarity and control, you just can't get that when everything's bouncing around inside your skull.
All right, so we've cleared the clutter. That's a great foundation. But, a foundation is pretty useless without a house on top of it, right? So that leads us to principle number 2, the rhythm of reflection. This is all about building a daily framework that helps you stay intentional day in and day out.
A really powerful way to build that structure is something called time blocking. Look at this. A vague task like write essay is basically an invitation to procrastinate, right? We've all been there. But when you give that task a specific home on your calendar, say 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., you've suddenly turned a vague wish into a real commitment. It's like you've made an appointment with your own success. So Carol has this brilliant idea for framing your day. You bookend it with reflection. It's a really simple habit, but it's so powerful. You start your day with a morning reflection to get focused, then you do your work, and then, this is key, you close out the day with an evening reflection to process everything and hit the reset button.
And it's really important to get that these 2 reflections have totally different jobs. The morning one? That's all about looking forward. You're asking, why am I doing this? To really connect with your motivation for the day. But the evening reflection is about looking back. It's your chance to acknowledge what you did, to appreciate the effort, and, this is huge, to find some closure. That's what stops work from creeping into your personal time and lets your brain actually switch off and rest. And, this whole practice isn't just about getting more stuff done today. It's way bigger than that. Like Carol says, reflection helps you figure out what actually nourishes you. And when you know that, you can make way better decisions for your future. It basically turns productivity from a chore into a way of living intentionally.
Okay, so we've got a clear plan. We've got a daily rhythm. Awesome. But let's be real for a second. A perfect plan is totally useless if you don't have the energy to actually do it, right? Especially on those tough days. And that brings us to principle number 3, fueling the motivation engine. Believe it or not, this all comes down to one little chemical that our brains are totally obsessed with: dopamine. And there are basically two different ways we can get our dopamine fix. One way is easy and quick, but the feeling doesn't last. The other way is earned, and it's way more satisfying.
And this really shows the huge difference in how our brains get rewarded. When you're just mindlessly scrolling through social media, you're getting these tiny little hits of dopamine. They keep you hooked, for sure, but they don't really leave you feeling good. But when you finish a task that actually matters to you, your brain releases this big, powerful hit of earned dopamine. And that doesn't just feel good in the moment. It literally rewires your brain to connect effort with reward. That makes you way more likely to take on big challenges down the road.
So what does this mean? It means you can actually hack this system on purpose. How? Just celebrate your wins. And listen, it doesn't have to be some huge party. When you finish a task, just take a single second to acknowledge it. Give yourself a little mental high five. Physically cross it off your list. So satisfying. Just step away from your desk for a minute. The whole point is to send a clear signal to your brain that says, hey, I did that and it was awesome. You're basically training your brain to love the feeling of making progress.
All right, let's recap. We've cleared our minds, we've built a daily rhythm, and we've figured out how to keep our motivation engine running. These are some seriously powerful tools. But how do you put it all together? Well, that leads us to our final and maybe the most important principle of all, building your perfect system.
Because here's the honest truth. There is no magic one-size-fits-all system that works for everybody. It just doesn't exist. The number one most important rule, the absolute key, is that whatever system you use has to work for you. It needs to be tailored to your brain, your goals, and your actual life.
So the main takeaway here is pretty simple. You have to experiment. Go ahead, try time blocking. See if that evening reflection thing actually feels good to you. A good system should feel like a tailwind pushing you forward, making your life easier, not harder. If some technique you're trying just adds more stress and friction, just drop it. It's not the right tool for you, and that is totally okay. The goal is to build a system that serves you, not the other way around.
And really, that's what this is all about. This isn't just about listening and learning, it's about doing. So as you wrap up here, I want you to ask yourself a question. Out of everything we talked about, from clearing the clutter to celebrating your wins, what is the one small thing you're going to try this week? What's the first step you'll take to start building a more intentional life?